So this morning I'm going to talk a little bit about several things. I will get started with, as many of you know by now, this time is the time of the Feast of Ingathering. Feast of Ingathering? Well, you can look up on Bible Hub, or you can go look on Google what the Feast of Ingathering is. The Feast of Booths was to remember that the children of Israel were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. I might have to go and Google that. Booths. I might just, because that's going to, let's look at it this way. It's a coat. Meaning. Alright. Alright. Sukkot is a week-long Jewish holiday that celebrates the fall harvest. It is one of the most joyful festivals in Judaism, meant to bring families, friends, and communities together. The holy day also commemorates the 40 years that the Jews spent in the desert after escaping slavery in Egypt. And why did they spend 40 years in the desert? The answer is because they disobeyed. And so the rebels all had to die of old age before the people of Israel could enter into the Promised Land. If they had not rebelled, there would be no need to keep the Feast of Booths. Have you ever thought about that? Has that ever occurred to you? Did you know that when Yehoshua's kingdom comes to Jerusalem, that the Gentiles will be forced to keep the Feast of Booths? And why would they be forced to keep the Feast of Booths? Because, folks, they will be exiled from their own lands for many years. Is it possible to keep the holy days as Jehovah had commanded them in Deuteronomy? Let me show you something. It says in Deuteronomy 16, verse 16, 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before, not the Lord. It never said the Lord, and it never will say the Lord. Just because King James Version wants to replace Jehovah's name with the Lord does not mean the Lord is an accurate description. Appear before Jehovah Elohim in the place. What place? Any place? Can you do it any place? In the place where he will choose. So it has to be at a particular location. And if you're not at that particular location, you are not keeping any of these holy days. So what location was it? Well, if you bother to read the history of Israel, you will realize that that place was designated by Solomon himself. And then, on top of that, when this dedication occurred, the Spirit of Jehovah went in Jerusalem, into the temple. If you want to bother to read about it in Kings, you will see it plainly. I can't remember the passage anymore, but you can find it. It was at that point where Jerusalem, and the temple was dedicated. It was at that point. Now, at a place where he shall choose the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Booths, Sukkot. And they shall not appear before Jehovah empty. All right? Now, in 70, the year 70, when Titus burned the temple to the ground and murdered most of the Jews in Jerusalem and sacked the city, at that point it was unchosen. It was actually unchosen before that, but at that point it was officially unchosen, rejected by Jehovah, and this could no longer be done. Okay? Now, does the Feast of Ingathering, which is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, do they represent something meaningful today? Yes, they do. The Feast of Ingathering. My dad explained this to me a long time ago. Ingathering of what? Well, ingathering of Israel. That's what it represents. All right. You shall observe the Feast of Weeks of the first fruits. That's the 3 times in a year of the wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the year's end. Now, so Rosh Hashanah, the blowing of the trumpets, blowing of the 7th trumpet. Yom Kippur, or Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, where there are 2 goats that are almost identical. One was for atonement and one was for rejection. We know who the one was for atonement. His name is Yehoshua. The one for rejection, his name is Jesus, otherwise known as Satan. Now, oh, you didn't know? Well, you see, Jesus, or Jesus, which is properly pronounced, has no Jewish origin. The name has no Jewish origin. It is of the Gentile origin, and Yehoshua is of the Hebrew origin. You see, the Hebrew Moshiach, he is the chosen one. The Gentile Jesus, Krios, is the rejected one. the ones that the Gentiles chose. You see, Yehoshua means Jehovah's salvation. Jesus, on the other hand, or Jesus, means I am. That's what J-E means, or Je. In Greek or Latin, it doesn't matter. Pick your language. And S-U-S in both Latin and Greek means swine. And what did Antiochus IV offer upon the altar in Jerusalem? Swine, the abomination of desolation. So the name Jesus represents the abomination of desolation. So I want to read off a little bit of something that I wrote this morning. So when the time comes to end this world, I believe that Jehovah will call a meeting. Just like when it was time to end the 10 tribes of Israel, he called a meeting. And at this meeting, there was a lying spirit. We know who this lying spirit was. 2 Chronicles 18, Jehovah calls a meeting to deal with Ahab. All right, so we'll go and look at this. What just happened here? There we go. So the prophet came to Ahab in front of, I believe it was in front of, in the presence of Jehoshaphat. Okay? So, what is his name? Micaiah. Micaiah. Okay. Means who is like Jehovah. Alright. So he was alright. Find out exactly where I'll have to start right here in verse 12. And the messenger that went to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, Behold, the words of the prophet declare good to the king with one voice, one mouth. Let your word, therefore, I pray you, be like one of theirs, and speak you good. And Micaiah said, As Jehovah lives, or as, Jehovah lives, Elohim says, that will I speak. And he was come to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we prosper at Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear, or not go? And he said, Go you up and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand. And the king said unto him, How many times shall I adjure you that you say nothing but the truth to me in the name of Jehovah? So he goes and chastises Micaiah for telling an untruth, because he knew what Micaiah was going to say, even before he said it. But Micaiah was mocking Ahab, and Ahab knew it. And then Micaiah said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And Jehovah said, These have no master, and let them return therefore to every man to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, the king of Yehudah, Did I not tell you that he would prophesy good to me, but not good, but evil? And again he said, Therefore, listen to the word of Jehovah, not the Lord, but Jehovah. I saw Jehovah sitting upon his throne, and all the host of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. And Jehovah said, who will entice Ahab king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spoke in this manner. That's what it says. And one spoke in this manner, and another says after that manner. Now who, pray tell, could those two have been? Michael and Gabriel? There were two, weren't they? And then there came out a ruach, and stood before Jehovah, and said, I will entice him. And Jehovah said unto him, how? How are you going to do this? And he said, I will go out and be a deceptive, a falsehood ruach, in the mouth of all of his prophets. And Jehovah said, entice him and prevail. Go out and do what you have said. Now therefore, Jehovah has put a lying ruach in the mouth of these your prophets, and Jehovah has spoken calamity, adversity against you. And as we read down here, Ahab's defeat and death. And this led to the dispersion of the 10 tribes of Israel by the king of Assyria, while the house of Yehudah remained. Now, today, that lying spirit has been cast out of the sky and is down upon the earth. That lying spirit calls himself Jesus or Jesus. Because you see, the real Messiah's name never was Jesus. It always has been Yehoshua. So, I'm going to go to John 14 and verse 30, where he says, Yehoshua says, hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world comes and has nothing in me. All right. Now, why did they call him Jesus if his name is not Jesus? And can I prove that his name is not Jesus? Of course I can. I just showed you the truth, and I will show you what they did. You see, right here, his name is Yehoshua. He has a Hebrew name. He spoke in Aramaic, which is the oldest form of Hebrew known today. You don't contract Yehoshua to Joshua. You don't do that. That is disrespectful. It is like calling Queen Elizabeth Liz, or calling... You understand what I'm saying here. So what they did was, as you can see right here, the Gentiles rejected the name Yehoshua, and they replaced it with Jesus or Jesus. That's what they did. If you reject his name, you reject him. If you replace it with another name, you replace it with another entity. And they replaced him with the enemy of Yehoshua. Now, let's go back to where I was going. No more. This is verse 30 of Yohanan 14. No longer, that means from this day forward, will I talk much with you. Why? Well, where was he? Was Yehoshua in the sky, or was he down on the earth speaking to the disciples? He was down on the earth speaking to the disciples. So why will he no longer be with them and speak much to them? Because the prince of this world is coming. Who is the prince of this world? That prince of this world is Jesus, otherwise known as Satan. And he has nothing in me. Okay? Now, when did this happen? Well, first of all, it says hereafter, no longer. That means right away. From that point, once he was done speaking to them in this particular passage, he rose up to the sky to take his place upon the throne. Yes, there was a period of time when, after his resurrection, he was down on the earth speaking to the disciples, but he had to take his place on the throne in order to cast out Satan, who is now the most popular being in this world. Satan's name is Jesus. Alright, so we'll go to Revelation 12, and there appeared a great wonder in the sky. And of course, the Gentiles, they misconstrue everything. There are no stars in the sky that show this. It was Yohanan saw a vision. It was a vision. A great wonder in the sky, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Well, the Europeans claim the crown of 12 stars as their own, and they will soon, because they follow Satan, they follow Jesus. So they claim the 12 stars as their own, and you can look at the EU flag and you can see that this is what they have done. But that crown of 12 stars does not belong to them. It belongs to the whole house of Israel. And she, being with child, cried in travail in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in the sky, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads denote 2 things, 3 things actually. 7 mountains in each of the Romes, whether it be Rome number 1 or Rome number 2, which is Constantinople. Then there is the Julio Augustus, what do you call that? Lineage. The Julio Augustine. I can't remember the word. It was part of the Roman Empire. Okay, it represents that. There were 7. Okay, and then on top of that, you have the Babylonian Empire. You have the Medo-Persian Empire. That makes 3, because the Medo-Persian Empire was 2. The Babylon Empire was 1. The Greek Empire was 4. 7. Okay? Then you have 10 horns. The 10 horns is the kingdom of iron of Europe. And 7 crowns upon his heads. Okay? So this great red dragon is the Gentiles. This woman with a crown of 12 stars is Israel. And his tail drew a third of the stars of the sky, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And her child, the child of Israel, was Yehoshua. And she brought forth a man-child, which was to rule the what? Rule over the Gentiles. With a rod of iron. So when you Google or when you search with a rod of iron, you will see other places in the scripture where it talks about and shatter them into pieces with a rod of iron. That's what it means by ruling them with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto not God, but Jehovah Elohim to his throne. Well, we know now that right around the time that Yehoshua was speaking to the disciples, as soon as he was done speaking to them, that he rose up to his throne, to Jehovah's throne, and very shortly after that, it says right here, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of Jehovah, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. But that's missing something. If we continue to read, you will notice that this is actually a summary. And the story is here. The story, or the truth here, is there was a war in the sky. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his messengers. And the dragon did not prevail, neither was there place any more found for him in the sky. Why was there no place found for him in the sky? Because at that point, Yehoshua replaced Jesus, aka Satan, aka Satan. And the great red dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. The whole world is deceived by Jesus, Satan. I have done this many times for you. You can do it yourself. The most numerous, the greatest number by religion, and you will see that by far Christianity is the greatest number, and even the Muslims believe in Jesus. And he was cast out onto the earth. And of course, as soon as he's cast down to the earth, the Gentiles would replace the name of Yehoshua with Jesus, because Satan wants them to honor him. And his messengers was cast out, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come to Shemayim, heaven, salvation and strength in the kingdom of our Elohim, and the power of his, not Christ, Moshiach. For the accuser of the brethren is cast down, which accused them before Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. That would be the 12 disciples, and the prophets. And they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, Shemayim, and you that dwell in it. And woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down upon you, having great wrath, because he knows not that he has but a short time. That's not what it says. But Well, it does say. In a short of degree as compared to time itself, is what it probably should say, in my opinion. Now, when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, who did he persecute? Who did he put to flight? Who did he exile? He exiled the people of Jerusalem and Judea. That's what he did. Who was the woman which brought forth the man-child? Israel. So, a great persecution took place. How long did it last? So far, nearly 2,000 years. That's how long it lasted. Oh, you think the Jews are back home? Well, the vast majority of the Jews are living here in the United States. And then, on top of that, then you have the lost 10 tribes scattered into all the Gentiles. Don't even know who they are. So, this was when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, the great tribulation upon Israel occurred, beginning in, was it 64 AD, as they say? That's when it began. And so, once this persecution, it was time to end, to the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly back to the wilderness into her place, where she is nourished there for a season and a half. What is a season? Who knows? Season and a half a season from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away from the flood. So, Satan does not know when the time is up. His time is up. He does not know, because now, pull up this right here. He is no longer privy to any meetings in Shemayim, heaven. Consequently, he can only react to the events that will overthrow his kingdom. So Jehovah will call a meeting to deal with Satan and the followers of Jesus, Satan. The plan is for the Gentiles to go to war against each other with the worst weapons of men. All right. So, then the earth helped the woman. This is the great earthquake in Israel. This is Ezekiel 38 and 39. Where the earth quakes, opens up its mouth, and swallows up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Now, this particular event, if you bother to read Ezekiel 38 and 39, let's go there. We'll go straight to Ezekiel 39, and we will see what happens after. That's the reason why I'm always watching for the nuclear event to occur, because it is going to occur. But I am fully aware of what it says here in Ezekiel 39. But I'm always going to keep my eyes open just in case I'm reading it wrong. Okay? Son of man, prophesy against Gog. Thus said, this is what Adonai Jehovah says. I am against you, Gog, the chief, or Rosh, and that's what Russia means, Rosh, captain of Meshech and Tubal. Some think that Moscow is Meshech, and Tubal is obviously the capital of Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, Tbilisi. Okay? It's not, I will turn you back. It says, I will return, or you will return, and leave but the, and lead on, not leave but the sixth part of you. This is what I was trying to say, not leave but the sixth part of you. It's, you will return and lead on, and you will ascend from the north parts, and will bring you upon the mountains of Israel. Now we must remember that Israel today is not I should say the Republic of Israel today. That's another subject that I have gone into many times before. A republic is not something that is ordained by Jehovah. But Israel is the people that's called Israel today. They are an ally of NATO. They are not in the NATO alliance, but they are an ally of NATO. Now, what, pray tell, do you suppose would cause Russia to invade Israel? Now, if you look at Revelation, you see that the 10 kings of Europe are going to invade Israel. So which one is it? Is it one first and then the other? We don't know. Okay? He's going to bring them upon the mountains of Israel. I will strike your bow out of your left hand, and will cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand. And you will fall upon the mountains of Israel, you and all of your army, and the people that are with you, will I give unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Now, according to Yehoshua, it is at that time that Yehoshua is going to arrive. Because they said, where, master, where? He says, where the vultures are gathered, that is where the dead bodies are going to be. That's what he said. Let's look. I actually don't need this one anymore, so I can go look this up. Where the body is, where oh well, looks like I have to Google it. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, they said, where, master? And he said unto them, wheresoever the body is, there were the eagles be gathered. So it's Luke 17, verse 37. So we'll go there. And we'll carefully use Strong's Concordance, which everyone should do. I forgot which 1737. So we go to Strong's Concordance. You should always use Strong's Concordance. I'm not saying the Strong's Concordance is 100% accurate, but it is many times more accurate than King James Version. So this is the time when the coming of the Son of Man is revealed. And it's revealed in Ezekiel 39 because they said, where? Right here, remember, this is the coming of the Son of Man. The days of the Son of Man, and you will not, they wouldn't see it in their day, okay? This is the time of the coming of the Son of Man. So they said, where? And he said unto them, where the body is, there will the what? Vultures be gathered. So it is at dead bodies, because we are talking about vultures, and by default those bodies are dead bodies. He gave you a clue, and the clue is this is when the time of the coming of the Son of Man, right here. Right here. Now what also happens in the time of the coming of Son of Man? You see right here on the open field, he will give you to the birds of every sort and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. And you will see right here in verse 17, speak unto every feathered fowl and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come and gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice, and I sacrifice to you even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that you may eat flesh and drink blood, that you shall eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, of goats, of bullocks, and all of them fatlings that came through Bashan, the Golan Heights. They're going to enter in through the Golan Heights. And you shall eat fat until you be full, and drink till you be drunken with my sacrifice, which I have sacrificed for you. Thus you shall be filled at my table, with horses and chariots of mighty men, and with all men of war, says Jehovah Elohim. This is the time. All right. But what else is going to happen? The one thing that everyone, well, almost everyone, has overlooked, and that is this. And I will send a fire on Magog. What kind of a fire? I have showed you so many times over the past couple of years. And among them that dwell carelessly in the coastlands, that would be what? In the coastlands of what? The Mediterranean Sea. Med Sea. What is in the middle of the Med Sea? Anybody care to guess? What coastlands sit in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea? Anyone care to guess? The Roman Empire. Rome is the coastlands in the Mediterranean Sea. All right? He's going to send a fire on them. You can go to Zechariah 14 verses 12 and 13, and you will see that that fire is obviously nuclear weapons. You can go to Revelation 9 verses 17 and 18, and it's obvious that they are nuclear weapons launched by, yes, YARS mobile ICBM launchers. I will go to BitChute. But before I do, before I point to the other video that I had done, or several videos that I had done, proving that it's the YARS mobile ICBM launchers, I want to show you this, the idea that we're going to send in tanks in Ukraine that is called World War III. Now, what do we have here? We have 19 hours ago, Zelensky cheers the arrival of U.S. Abrams tanks in Ukraine. And what did Joe Biden say? The idea that we're going to send in tanks to Ukraine, that is called World War III. I posted this video, that video in January of this year. All right. Now we're going to scroll down a lot further because this goes all the way back to, and you can see that the VP of Russia promises to send Russia's enemies to the eternal fires of hell. And in this particular video, I post the ribbon of St. George or Gog. George and Gog is the same name. If you don't believe it, Google it. You'll find out it's true. Alright? In fact, maybe I'll do it for you, since some of you are hard-headed. That's not what I'm... Oh. Well, there are people who know this, like you can see right here, George Gog. George... I'm wasting time doing this. George is a masculine name derived from the Greek word Georgios or Gorgos, actually. Gorgos. All right. I'll have to look it up one other day. In fact, in that particular, I think in this video right here, I may have it posted. So, then I post this. Russian nuke launch imminent, says MI6. All Zionists prepare to leave Babylon. I'm saying all Zionists prepare to leave Babylon. Russian former president predicts, and he quotes Revelation 9:18, destruction of the world. He quotes it. I don't look, folks. I don't know what else to do here, but to keep showing you these things. This particular one right here, Russia threatens to pull the nuclear trigger on 3 EU countries, and one of them is Poland. Because, I don't know if you have been watching, but Poland has openly declared that they are going to be the largest military in Europe. Ribbon of St. George identifies Gog and the perpetrator of the 6th trumpet plague. I would encourage everyone to watch this video that I posted. Okay. There's more. Russian Yar's ICBM launchers accurately described in the 3 woes. Go to my BitChute channel. Because of the fact that I'll keep posting on YouTube for a while longer, but YouTube has the so-called rainbow flag up, and they are gone fully woke. So I don't expect I don't expect that I will be able to post videos on there much longer. So go to my BitChute channel and look at the videos there, because I have a feeling that they're going to erase my videos soon. And brother against brother is a great war about to commence. You know, blood in the sky, blood in the earth. The prophecy of Yule 2, or of Yule 3, I mean. And did the prophets foretell a nuclear holocaust in the last days? And in this particular video I proved, just using the scripture, that indeed that is what's going to destroy the last vestiges of the Roman Empire. Alright? And make sure there's no more. I don't know if there's any more than that. You can see right here, who is the one with the crown of 12 stars in Revelation? No, it's neither the EU nor the church. I proved that as well. Alright, so my BitChute channel's full of these videos. So yeah, I posted this one about February 2022, which was about a year and a half ago now. There's no excuse for you not to know. And let me warn you, everyone is invested in this world at some level. But those of you who are completely invested in this world, those are the rich. The ones who are least invested in this world are the poor. Okay? So those of you that are invested in this world, you are going to lose everything. Those of you who are poor and the least invested in this world will not lose much, because they don't have much to begin with. Alright? So I beg of you, please watch these videos. I don't get any monetary, and I don't want any monetary reward for these videos. The reward that I want is in the coming kingdom in Jerusalem. I work for Him. And all I'm doing is pointing to the words of the prophets and disciples and the words of Yehoshua himself. The truth about what is going to happen to this world. And you might want to go on YouTube and listen to some of the men who give their answers about what they do when they think of Rome. What did they think about? There was one in particular who described old Rome's destruction, how it was destroyed, and how the United States of America and Western civilization is following that path. Okay? What I'm trying to tell you is, It is inexcusable that the world is asleep. It is inexcusable that anyone is asleep and not aware of what is about to happen. It is inexcusable. There are no excuses, folks. You even have people in China by the billions walking around with smartphones. Personal computers, if you will, holding it in their hands. My videos have text on the videos. Now, of course, it's not the most accurate text, but what do you call it, closed caption or something? I'm not sure what you call it. But it can be converted in their own language. It's amazing. For what reason? Why should I have to explain to you the obvious? You should already know the reason. So with that, I will close.